The air smelled of burnt metal and blood. Dr. Taeho Kim wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked. His white medical coat was stained with different colors of blood. Red from humans, blue from the Morkans, and green from the Aldari. The field hospital tent flapped in the harsh wind of Nexus 7, a planet that no one wanted until it became important. "Doctor, we have 3 more coming in," shouted Nurse Jisoo. She rushed past with supplies in her arms. Taeho nodded without looking up. His hands moved quickly, closing a wound on a young human soldier who had been hit by Draconid shrapnel. The soldier would live, but his fighting days were over. "Send them to Area 2. I'll be there in 5 minutes," Taeho said. His voice was calm despite the chaos around him. Outside, the sounds of battle grew louder. The Draconid collective was pushing forward again. These reptile-like aliens were feared across the galaxy for their strength and fighting skill. A single Draconid soldier could fight 3 humans and win. Taeho had been on Nexus 7 for 8 months. He had come as part of the Galactic Alliance Medical Corps. What was supposed to be a 6-week rotation had turned into a long-term assignment as the war with the Draconids dragged on. Medical Officer Kim, report to command, crackled his comm unit. Taeho finished bandaging his patient and walked to the small command area at the back of the medical tent. Captain Daejung looked tired. The holographic map in front of him showed too much red, the color used for enemy forces. "Doctor, we need to evacuate. The Draconids have broken through the northern line. We have less than 2 hours before they reach us," said Daejung. "We have 27 patients who can't be moved," Taeho said. "I need more time." The captain shook his head. "We don't have more time. Get your most critical cases ready for transport. The rest." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Taeho felt anger rise in his chest. "These are soldiers who fought for us. We don't leave them." "Those are the orders," Daejung said. "First transport leaves in 30 minutes. Back in the main area, Taeho called his team together. 4 doctors and 11 nurses looked at him with tired eyes. "We're evacuating," he told them. "Jisoo, start preparing the critical cases for transport. Minho, get all our essential supplies packed." "What about the others?" asked Dr. Han, a young doctor fresh from Earth. "I'm staying with them," Taeho said. "The rest of you go with the transports." His team started to protest, but he raised his hand. "That's an order. This isn't my first war zone. I know what I'm doing." As his team rushed to prepare for evacuation, Taeho checked on a soldier with severe chest wounds. The man needed surgery now or he wouldn't make it to the transport. "Prepare him for surgery," Taeho told a nurse. "I'm operating right now." An hour later, most of the medical team had evacuated with the first group of patients. Only Taeho and 2 nurses remained, working on the last critical case. The ground shook as something exploded nearby. Dust fell from the ceiling of the tent. "That was close," said Nurse Minho. "The transports will be back in 20 minutes." Taeho nodded as he worked. The soldier on his table was stable now. He would live if they could get him to the main hospital ship. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the medical tent. Taeho was thrown against a supply cabinet. His head hit something hard, and pain shot through his skull. As he struggled to stay conscious, he saw part of the tent collapse. Through the new opening, he could see the battle was much closer than they had thought. The last thing Taeho saw before darkness took him was a massive shape flying through the air toward the tent, a shape that looked distinctly Draconid. Taeho opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt, and something warm trickled down his face. Blood. He touched his forehead and winced. The medical tent was in ruins around him. Equipment lay scattered and broken. Part of the roof had fallen in. "Minho. Anyone?" Taeho called out. No one answered. He pushed himself up, fighting waves of dizziness. The last transport must have left without him. He couldn't blame them. The battle had clearly moved too close too quickly. A low sound made Taeho freeze. It was like a growl mixed with painful breathing. He turned slowly and saw what had made the noise. A massive draconid warrior lay half-buried under fallen tent material and broken medical equipment. The reptilian alien was at least 7 feet tall with dark green scales covering its muscular body. Its face was somewhere between a human and a lizard, with yellow eyes now half-closed in pain. Tahoe's first instinct was to run. Everyone knew what draconids did to human prisoners. But the doctor in him noticed the pool of thick, dark blood spreading beneath the alien. The draconid was badly hurt. "You must be what flew through my tent," Tahoe said quietly. The draconid's eyes opened wider, focusing on Tahoe. It tried to move, but then made a hissing sound of pain. Outside, the sounds of battle were moving away. Both sides must be pulling back, leaving this area as a no-man's land. Tahoe was alone with an enemy that could tear him apart with its bare hands, if it wasn't so badly injured. Tahoe found his medical scanner among the wreckage. It was still working. He approached the draconid cautiously. "I'm a doctor," he said, though he wasn't sure the alien could understand him. "I'm going to check your wounds." The draconid watched him with those yellow eyes, but didn't try to attack. As Tahoe got closer, he saw why. A large piece of metal was stuck in the alien's side. Its right leg was bent at a wrong angle, and there were burn marks across its chest plate armor. Tahoe held up the scanner. The draconid growled but didn't stop him. The scanner beeped as it tried to make sense of the alien biology. "EROR. Unknown HFY Sci-Fi. HFY Stories. Auditor flashed on the screen. The scanner showed multiple injuries, internal bleeding, and something else, a toxin spreading through the draconid's body. Tahoe frowned. This wasn't from normal weapons. It looked like a chemical agent. "This isn't good," he muttered. The draconid made a clicking sound, and then words came out in a deep, rough voice. "Human. Kill me with honor. No slow death." Tahoe jumped back in surprise. "You speak our language." "Universal translator," the draconid said, tapping a small device on its armor. "I am Commander Rax. Give me warrior's death." Tahoe shook his head. "I'm a doctor. I don't kill. I heal." Rax laughed, a strange rumbling sound. "Heal draconid. Impossible." "Maybe. Maybe not," Tahoe said. He had never treated a draconid before. Their anatomy was classified information, and most never survived battlefield injuries to be captured. Tahoe looked around at his damaged medical supplies. He still had some basic equipment. His surgical kit was intact. The medicine cabinet was damaged, but not destroyed. "I'm Dr. Tahoe Kim," he said, "and I'm going to try to save you." Rax stared at him. "Why help enemy?" "Doctor's oath. I help anyone who needs it," Tahoe replied. "Now, I need to get this metal out of your side and stop the bleeding." As Tahoe gathered what supplies he could find, he wondered if he was making a huge mistake. But he couldn't just let a patient die, even if that patient was a feared draconid warrior. "This will hurt," Tahoe warned as he prepared to remove the metal shard. Rax's yellow eyes locked with his. "Draconid, no pain. Do what you must, human doctor." Tahoe nodded and began his work. As he did, he noticed something strange in Rax's blood work on his scanner. The toxin was unlike anything he had seen before in the war. What had they hit this draconid with? And more importantly, could Tahoe find a way to counter it with his limited human medical supplies? Tahoe had been working on Commander Rax for over an hour. The metal shard was out, and he had stopped the worst of the bleeding. But the draconid's condition was getting worse, not better. The toxin in his system was spreading. "Your body temperature is too high, even for a draconid," Tahoe said as he checked his scanner again. "And these readings don't make sense." Rax lay on 2 medical beds pushed together to hold his large frame. His breathing was rough and his scales were losing their shine. "Toxin," Rax said weakly. "New weapon. Hit my strike team. All dead now. Tai-Ho frowned as he looked at his medical tablet. The scan showed Rax's internal anatomy, but it was nothing like human biology. Draconids had 3 heart-like organs. Their blood moved through their bodies in a way Tai-Ho had never seen before, and their cells were breaking down from the mysterious toxin. I need to understand your biology better, Tai-Ho said. Do draconids have medical files I could access? Rax made a weak laughing sound. Secret. War information. Tai-Ho ran his hand through his hair in frustration. I can't help you if I don't know how your body works. He searched through his damaged supplies. Most of his advanced medical equipment was broken, but his basic medical kit was still intact. Inside was his personal medical database that he had built over his 15 years as a doctor. Tai-Ho connected it to his scanner and searched for any information on reptilian species. There wasn't much on draconids specifically, but there were some notes on other reptile-like aliens the Alliance had encountered. Your system runs hot, Tai-Ho said, thinking out loud. Your blood carries oxygen differently than ours. And this toxin. He looked closer at the scan results. The toxin was attacking Rax's cells in a systematic way. It was breaking down cell walls and preventing new cells from forming. Without treatment, Rax would die within hours as his body literally fell apart. None of my antitoxins will work on your biology, Tai-Ho said. They're made for human physiology or common Alliance species. Rax's yellow eyes looked at him steadily. Then I die. Not if I can help it, Tai-Ho replied. He wasn't about to lose a patient without a fight, even if that patient was an enemy. Tai-Ho set up a simple IV to keep Rax hydrated. The Draconid needed twice the fluids a human would, his body temperature burning through them quickly. As night fell on Nexus 7, Tai-Ho continued to study the toxin. He took blood samples from Rax every hour, watching how the poison moved through his system. The pattern was familiar somehow, but Tai-Ho couldn't place it. Outside, the sounds of battle had faded. Both armies had moved on, leaving this area empty. Tai-Ho knew he should try to contact Alliance forces, but that would mean turning Rax over as a prisoner. Somehow, he didn't think the Draconid would receive the medical care he needed. Why this area fought over? Tai-Ho asked as he checked Rax's vital signs again. Mineral deposits, Rax said. His voice was getting weaker. Valuable for ships. Not worth lives lost. Tai-Ho nodded. Wars were always about resources in the end. As he adjusted Rax's IV, Tai-Ho noticed something strange. Where the fluid entered Rax's arm, the toxin seemed less active. The cells there were degrading more slowly. The saline solution is slowing the toxin, Tai-Ho said with excitement. Not stopping it, but slowing it. It wasn't enough to save Rax, but it was a start. Tai-Ho needed to find something that would bind to the toxin and neutralize it. He needed to understand how it worked. What color was the weapon that hid your team? He asked. Purple cloud, Rax said. Burned through armor. Not honorable weapon. Tai-Ho's eyes widened. He remembered a report from 6 months ago about a new chemical weapon being developed. It wasn't supposed to be used, banned under galactic war conventions, but someone had deployed it anyway. As Rax's condition continued to worsen, Tai-Ho faced his greatest medical challenge yet. How could he save a patient whose biology he barely understood, who had been poisoned by a weapon that shouldn't exist? Morning came to Nexus 7, bringing pale light through the holes in the damaged medical tent. Tai-Ho had not slept. He had spent the night monitoring Rax and studying the toxin. His eyes were red and tired, but he couldn't stop working. Rax's condition had gotten worse. His breathing was shallow, and his normally hot body temperature was dropping. The toxin was winning. You should go, Rax said suddenly, his voice startling Tai-Ho. Alliance forces will come back. Find you. I'm not leaving you, Tai-Ho said firmly. No one gets left behind in my medical unit. Rax's yellow eyes studied the human doctor. Strange. Humans in stories. cruel, weak. You are different. Tahoe gave a tired smile. And draconids are supposed to be mindless killers. I guess we both got our information wrong. A beeping sound came from one of Tahoe's devices. He checked it and frowned. Someone's coming. Multiple signals. What species? Rax asked, trying to sit up. I can't tell, Tahoe replied. He moved to the edge of the tent and looked out carefully. In the distance, he saw a group of figures moving toward them. Some looked human, others were clearly not. They wore mismatched armor with no clear alliance or draconid markings. Scavengers, Rax said when Tahoe described them. Take weapons, supplies from battlefield. Kill any survivors. Great, Tahoe muttered. Just what we need. He moved back to Rax and checked his vital signs again. You're in no condition to fight, and I'm a doctor, not a soldier. Rax looked at Tahoe with new interest. Why you not afraid of me? I could kill you when stronger. Will you? Tahoe asked simply. Rax was quiet for a moment. No, you try to save me. Honor debt. Then we need to work together to survive, Tahoe said. Those scavengers will kill us both if they find us. He helped Rax move to a more hidden part of the ruined tent, behind some fallen equipment. It wasn't a great hiding place, but it was the best they could do. Something I must tell you, Rax said as they settled into hiding. This attack, not official draconid command. What do you mean? Tahoe asked. Rogue General, Rax explained. Takren wants war to continue. Uses forbidden weapons. My team sent to confirm his actions. So your own people are behind this toxin. Tahoe was surprised. Some, just as some humans want endless war. Rax's breathing became more labored. Peace talks happening. Secret. Takren wants to stop them. This was news to Tahoe. He hadn't heard anything about peace talks, but it made sense. The war had been going on for 3 years with huge losses on both sides and no clear winner. So both our sides have people who are making this worse, Tahoe said. Rax nodded. War, profitable for some, bad for most. The sounds of the scavengers grew closer. Tahoe could hear them searching through nearby ruins. He and Rax fell silent, waiting and hoping they wouldn't be discovered. As they hid, Tahoe's mind worked on the toxin problem. If what Rax said was true, then the chemical agent was designed by rogue draconids to use against their own kind who wanted peace. It was a weapon created specifically for draconid biology. I need to think like the creator of this toxin, Tahoe whispered very quietly. They knew exactly how draconid cells work. They would have needed an antidote too, in case they were exposed. Rax looked at him with a glimmer of hope. Yes. Takren not risk own soldiers without cure. A loud crash came from nearby as scavengers entered another part of the ruined field hospital. Time was running out. Tahoe realized that to save Rax, he needed to understand more than just draconid biology. He needed to understand the mind of a draconid who would create such a weapon. And somewhere in his medical supplies might be something that could work as that antidote, if only he could figure out what it was. The scavengers moved through the ruins of the medical camp. Tahoe and Rax stayed perfectly still in their hiding place. They could hear voices and the sound of equipment being moved. Take the medicine cabinets. Those will fetch a good price, a rough voice said. Tahoe felt his heart sink. If they took the medicine, he would have nothing left to treat Rax. The draconid's condition was getting worse by the hour. His scales were starting to lose color, and his breathing was shallow. After what seemed like hours, the scavengers finally moved on to another area. Tahoe risked a look and saw they had taken many supplies but missed their hiding spot. They're gone for now, he told Rax. But they might come back. Tahoe checked what medicine was left. It wasn't much. Most of the advanced treatments were gone. He had basic medicines, some antibiotics, and a few other common drugs. Nothing that seemed helpful for a toxin attacking draconid cells. As Tahoe was searching, Rax made a strange sound. The doctor turned quickly to see the draconid having trouble breathing. Rax. Tahoe moved to his side and checked his vital signs. The toxin was attacking his respiratory system now. Without help, Rax would die within hours. Need to try something, Tahoe said, more to himself than to Rax. He connected his medical scanner to his tablet and reviewed all the data he had collected about the toxin. The way it attacked cells reminded him of something. The pattern was familiar, but from where? Tahoe searched through his medical records, looking for similar cell degradation patterns. Then he remembered. 3 years ago, before the war, he had treated patients on a colony world who suffered from a rare parasitic infection. The parasite would attach to human cells and break them down in a similar way to what was happening to Rax's cells. Tahoe quickly pulled up the case files. This parasite affected humans differently, but the mechanism is almost the same, he said excitedly. He explained to Rax what he was thinking, speaking simply so the draconid could understand through his translator. Human and draconid biology, very different, Rax said weakly. How's same treatment work? It's not about our biology, Tahoe said. It's about how the toxin works. The way it attacks cells is like this parasite, and I know what kills the parasite. Tahoe dug through his remaining supplies until he found what he was looking for. A common human antiparasitic medication. It wasn't fancy or expensive, but it was effective against the parasite, he remembered. This medicine breaks the chemical bonds that the parasite uses to attach to cells, Tahoe explained. If the toxin works the same way, this might stop it. He ran a simulation on his medical tablet, using the data he had collected from Rax's blood. The results were not perfect, but promising. The simulation says there's a 23% chance this will work, Tahoe said honestly. But without treatment, your chance is 0. Rax looked at the small bottle of medicine in Tahoe's hand. Why help enemy this much? Because right now, you're not my enemy. You're my patient, Tahoe said simply. And if what you said about peace talks is true, then maybe we don't need to be enemies at all. Rax was quiet for a moment. His yellow eyes studied the human doctor. Then he nodded slowly. Do it. Trust human doctor. Tahoe prepared the medicine. He had to adjust the dose for Rax's much larger body size. He mixed it with the remaining saline solution and set up an IV drip. This will take time to work, if it works at all, Tahoe warned. And I don't know what side effects it might have on your system. No choice, Rax said. His voice was getting weaker. Rather die trying than wait for death. Tahoe nodded and connected the IV to Rax's arm. The clear fluid began to flow into the draconid's veins. Now all they could do was wait and hope that a simple human medicine might save the life of a draconid warrior. As the medicine dripped slowly into Rax's system, Tahoe watched his vital signs carefully. This was either going to work, or it would be the last thing he ever tried to help his unexpected alien patient. The first hour after giving Rax the medicine was tense. Tahoe watched the draconid's vital signs carefully, ready to stop the treatment if things got worse. But nothing changed. The second hour passed the same way. Rax slept fitfully while Tahoe checked his blood samples every 20 minutes. During the third hour, Tahoe noticed something. The toxin levels in Rax's blood had stopped rising. They weren't falling yet, but they had stopped getting worse. It was the first good sign. Come on, Tahoe whispered, watching the scanner. Fight it. By the fourth hour, Tahoe could hardly believe what he was seeing. The toxin levels were dropping. The medicine was working. He checked and double-checked his readings to be sure. Rax, Tahoe said, gently touching the draconid's arm. Rax, wake up. The large reptilian opened his yellow eyes slowly. Still alive, he said, his voice rough but stronger than before. The medicine is working, Tahoe said with a smile. The toxin levels are dropping. Your body is fighting it off. Rax blinked slowly, seeming surprised. Human medicine works on draconid. It seems so, Tahoe said. It's not attacking the toxin directly. It's helping your body recognize the toxin as something to fight. Your immune system is doing most of the work now. Never thought. Rax started, then stopped. He seemed to be struggling with the idea that a human had saved him. As night fell again on Nexus 7, Rax's condition continued to improve. His temperature returned to normal for a Draconid, and his scales regained some of their shine. He was able to sit up with Taiho's help and drink some water. Why do our people fight? Rax asked as Taiho checked his vital signs again. Seems pointless now. War usually starts with fear, Taiho said. Fear of what we don't understand. Fear of those who are different. Rax nodded slowly. First contact was bad. Misunderstanding. Then pride kept war going. Pride can be deadly, Taiho agreed. He sat down next to Rax's makeshift bed. They were both exhausted, but for the first time, Taiho felt hopeful. Tell me about Draconid world, Taiho said. I've only ever heard military reports. Rax seemed surprised by the question, but then began to speak. He told Taiho about Drakon, a world with 3 suns that was mostly desert and mountains. He described cities built into cliff sides and underground to escape the heat of the triple suns. Honor is everything to us, Rax explained. Family honor, personal honor. Die before losing face. That explains a lot about how your forces fight, Taiho said. Humans value life more than honor usually. We retreat when needed. Not weakness, as we thought, Rax said. Different values. As they talked, Taiho shared stories of Earth. He told Rax about oceans and forests and snow, things the desert-dwelling Draconids rarely saw. He explained human concepts like forgiveness and second chances. Strange ideas, Rax said, but good ones. By morning, Rax was strong enough to stand with help. The toxin was nearly gone from his system. The human medicine had worked better than Taiho had dared to hope. You saved enemy life, Rax said as Taiho changed his bandages. Why? Because all life has value, Taiho replied simply. And maybe, if we understand each other better, we won't need to be enemies. Rax was quiet for a moment. Then he did something that shocked Taiho. He reached out and clasped the doctor's arm in the traditional Draconid gesture of respect between warriors. Dr. Taiho Kim, Rax said formally. You have honor of a Draconid. My life debt to you. Taiho smiled and returned the gesture. And you have the heart of a human, Commander Rax, willing to listen and learn. Their moment of understanding was interrupted by a loud explosion in the distance. Both of them turned toward the sound. Trouble coming, Rax said grimly. The explosions continued in the distance. Taiho and Rax moved to the edge of the ruined tent to look out. Smoke rose from over the hills to the east. Those aren't normal bombs, Taiho said. The smoke is purple. Rax's yellow eyes narrowed. Same toxin. Takren's forces. We need to move, Taiho said. If they're using that weapon again, they might come this way. Rax was still weak, but he could walk now. Taiho gathered what medical supplies were left, including the rest of the antiparasitic medicine. They would need it if they encountered the toxin again. Where can we go? Taiho asked as they stepped outside. The landscape of Nexus 7 stretched before them, rocky hills and sparse vegetation under a pale blue sky. Peace talks at neutral station, Rax said. Need to reach communications array. Warn both sides about toxin. Taiho nodded. There's a relay station about 10 miles south. We could send a message from there. They started walking, Rax moving slowly but steadily. His soldier's strength was returning, and the determination in his eyes was clear. Taiho stayed close in case the Draconid needed help. After an hour of walking, they heard vehicles approaching. They ducked behind large rocks and watched as a group of 6 armored transports passed. The vehicles had no military markings, but the soldiers inside wore mixed pieces of human and Draconid armor. Mercenaries, Rax whispered. Work for whoever pays. Probably Takren now. "They're heading toward the relay station," Taiho said with concern. "They might be cutting off communications." When the vehicles were gone, they continued their journey more cautiously. Taiho checked Rax's condition regularly. The Draconid was pushing himself hard, but the toxin was almost completely out of his system now. By midday, they reached a ridge overlooking the relay station. It was a small building with a tall communications tower. The mercenary vehicles were parked outside, and armed figures moved around the station. "Too many to fight," Rax said, "especially with me not at full strength." "We don't need to fight," Taiho replied. "We just need to send a message." Taiho studied the station through a small pair of binoculars from his medical kit. "The main communications room is on the second floor. If we could get in there, even for a few minutes, we could warn both sides about the toxin weapon." "How?" Rax asked. Taiho thought for a moment. Then he smiled. "With a distraction." He explained his plan to Rax. It was risky, but it might work. They waited until evening when the light was fading. Then Taiho took most of the remaining medical supplies and moved down the ridge, circling around to the back of the station. Using chemicals from his medical kit, he created several small smoke bombs. They wouldn't hurt anyone, but they would create confusion. Taiho placed them at different points around the station's outer wall. Rax, meanwhile, moved to a position where he could watch the front of the building. When Taiho gave the signal, a flash of light from his medical scanner, Rax would create noise to draw attention to the front. Taiho set off the first smoke bomb. Purple smoke billowed up, the same color as the toxin weapon. Shouts of alarm came from the mercenaries. He set off 2 more bombs at different locations. From the front of the station came the sound of Rax roaring, a terrifying sound that echoed across the landscape. The mercenaries ran toward the front, weapons ready. In the confusion, Taiho slipped through a side door into the relay station. He moved quickly through empty corridors, heading for the stairs. The mercenaries were focused on the smoke and the roaring outside. Taiho reached the communications room and found it empty. He locked the door behind him and went to the main console. His hands moved quickly over the controls, setting up an emergency broadcast to both Alliance and Draconid frequencies. "This is Medical Officer Dr. Taiho Kim," he began. "I have critical information about an illegal toxin weapon being used on Nexus 7. This is Medical Officer Dr. Taiho Kim. I have critical information about an illegal toxin weapon being used on Nexus 7. It attacks cellular structures and is lethal to both humans and Draconids. I have discovered that a common human antiparasitic medication can counteract the toxin's effects. I repeat, this toxin is being used by rogue elements trying to sabotage peace talks. This is not an official action by either side." The door to the communications room burst open. 3 mercenaries rushed in, weapons raised. Taiho dropped to the floor as they fired, bullets hitting the equipment around him. Sparks flew as the communication console was damaged. "Human doctor." Rax's voice boomed from outside the room. The massive Draconid appeared in the doorway behind the mercenaries. Though still not at full strength, his size alone made the mercenaries turn in alarm. That moment of distraction was all Taiho needed. He grabbed a flashlight from his medical bag and triggered it directly in the mercenaries' eyes. The bright flash temporarily blinded them. Rax moved quickly for someone his size, grabbing 2 of the mercenaries and knocking their heads together. They crumpled to the floor. The 3rd mercenary raised his weapon, but Taiho threw a medical scanner at him. The distraction gave Rax enough time to reach the man and subdue him with a powerful blow. "Did the message send?" Rax asked, breathing heavily from the exertion. Taiho checked the damaged console. "Partially. I don't know if both sides received it." He looked at the smoking equipment. "We won't be sending any more messages from here. More will come soon," Rax said, pointing to the unconscious mercenaries. "Their friends will notice they're missing." They found a map in the communications room showing their location on Nexus 7. The nearest neutral outpost was 30 miles to the west, a long journey on foot through rough terrain. We should take their weapons, Rax suggested, nodding toward the mercenaries. Tai-Ho hesitated. As a doctor, he didn't like using weapons, but he knew Rax was right. They needed protection. They gathered supplies from the station: food, water, better medical supplies, and 2 small weapons. Tai-Ho also found a portable communications device, but it wasn't strong enough to reach orbit where the peace talks were happening. As they left the station, they heard more vehicles approaching. They ran into the hills surrounding the station, using the growing darkness to hide their escape. For 3 days, they traveled west toward the neutral outpost. The terrain was difficult: rocky hills, narrow valleys, and little shelter from the harsh sun of Nexus 7. They avoided roads and open areas, taking a longer route to stay hidden. On the morning of the 4th day, Rax began to show signs that something was wrong. His movements slowed, and his scales looked dull again. "The toxin," Tai-Ho said after examining him. "There must be traces still in your system. The stress of our journey has activated them." They found shelter in a small cave. Tai-Ho gave Rax another dose of the antiparasitic medicine, but his supply was running low. "Need to reach neutral outpost," Rax said weakly. "Peace talks must know about toxin." "You need rest," Tai-Ho insisted. "Just for today. Then we'll continue." As Rax rested, Tai-Ho worked with the medical supplies he had found at the relay station. He refined his treatment for the toxin, creating a stronger version that would completely clear Rax's system. "This should work better," he said as he administered the new medicine. "But I need to understand more about this toxin to create a proper antidote." By evening, Rax was feeling stronger again. The improved medicine was working. "Humans surprising," Rax said as they ate a simple meal. "Always finding new solutions. Draconids follow traditions, but humans adapt." "That's our strength," Tai-Ho agreed. "We have to adapt because we're not the strongest or fastest, but your traditions give you stability and purpose." They spoke late into the night, sharing more about their worlds and cultures. 2 enemies becoming friends, finding common ground despite years of war between their peoples. The next morning, they continued their journey with renewed determination. The neutral outpost was still days away, but they had hope now. Hope that they could reach it in time to stop the war from escalating further. After 7 days of difficult travel, Tai-Ho and Rax finally saw the neutral outpost in the distance. It was a large dome-shaped building with both Alliance and Draconid ships parked nearby. The peace talks were still happening. "We made it," Tai-Ho said with relief. His clothes were torn and dirty. He had lost weight during their journey. Beside him, Rax looked better than he had since they met. The improved medicine had worked well. As they approached the outpost, guards from both sides spotted them. Weapons were raised instantly. It was a strange sight, a human and a Draconid walking together as friends. "I am Commander Rax of the Draconid Elite Force," Rax called out. "This is Medical Officer Dr. Tai-Ho Kim of the Alliance. We bring important information for the peace talks." The guards looked confused but called their superiors. Soon, a small group came out to meet them: 3 humans and 3 Draconids in formal diplomatic clothes. "Explain yourselves," said an older human woman with commander insignia. Tai-Ho stepped forward. "We have evidence of a plot to disrupt the peace talks. A rogue Draconid general named Tak Ren is using an illegal toxin weapon on Nexus 7. A tall Draconid diplomat hissed in anger. "Serious accusation. Proof." "I was affected by this toxin," Rax said. "Would have died without Dr. Kim's help." "And I have this," Tai-Ho added, holding up a small container with blood samples he had taken from Rax. Evidence of the toxin and the treatment. They were taken inside the outpost to a secure room. For hours, they told their story to officials from both sides. Medical officers examined Rax and tested Tai-Ho's samples. Security teams reviewed the information about the mercenaries. Tai-Ho explained how a simple human antiparasitic medicine had counteracted the toxin. The medical teams were amazed. "This should not work on Draconid biology," said an Alliance medical officer. "But the evidence is clear." "Two enemies working together," said a Draconid diplomat, looking at Taiho and Rax. "Perhaps there is hope for peace after all." The next day, both sides acted on the information. Special forces were sent to capture General Tak Ren and his supporters. The peace talks continued with new energy. Taiho's discovery of the treatment was shared with all medical teams on both sides. 3 months later, a formal peace treaty was signed between the Alliance and the Draconid Collective. The war that had raged for 3 years was finally over. At the signing ceremony, Taiho and Rax stood together as honored guests. They had become symbols of what cooperation between their species could achieve. "Dr. Kim," said the Alliance president, "your actions saved not just one life, but potentially thousands by helping end this conflict. What would you like as a reward?" Taiho thought for a moment. "I want to start a joint medical research program. Humans and Draconids working together to understand each other's biology. What helped Commander Rax could help others too." The request was granted. 1 year later, the Kim Rax Medical Research Center opened on a neutral world. Scientists from both species worked side by side, studying the unexpected compatibilities between their biologies. Taiho led the center with Rax as his security advisor. Their friendship had grown stronger over time. The medicine that had saved Rax's life became the foundation for new treatments that helped both species. "Did you ever think," Rax asked one day as they watched human and Draconid doctors working together, "that a simple human medicine would lead to all this?" Taiho smiled. "Sometimes the smallest things make the biggest difference." 5 years after their first meeting in a damaged medical tent, Taiho and Rax stood at the graduation ceremony of the first class of cross-species medical officers, young humans and Draconids who had trained together to save lives, not take them. "From enemies to this," Rax said, gesturing at the graduates. "The best kind of legacy," Taiho agreed. "One that heals." What had started with a human war medic using a common medicine to save a ferocious alien reptile had grown into something neither could have imagined: a lasting peace between two worlds and a new future of cooperation and understanding.